And welcome to a quick discussion of Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This is a collection of Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy that was released for the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Bros. This collection also comes with the 3 soundtracks, which is kind of a nice bonus, but in general, 3D All-Stars is a bit lacking, I find. Previous anniversary collections from Nintendo have had a lot more in the way of bonus content, such as art books, and manuals, and CDs with different songs from each soundtrack. So just having a fairly bare bones collection like this is kind of a letdown, I will say. Another thing that a lot of people aren't happy about is the exclusion of Super Mario Galaxy 2. Most people speculate it's because Galaxy 2 is more reliant on pointer controls, and thus the method they've come up with to emulate the Wii's pointer would not work as well for Galaxy 2 compared to Galaxy 1. But still, I hope Galaxy 2 eventually ends up on the Switch, even though I do prefer Galaxy 1 in all honesty. The final caveat is this is a timed release. So Super Mario 3D All-Stars will only be available until March 31st, 2021. Afterwards, it will be delisted from the eShop and no more physical copies will be made. I get the lack of physical copies past a certain date. I do not understand the need to take it off the eShop unless they are planning to release these games individually at some point. That is really weird to me and I don't really like it. I still picked up this collection because these are some of my favorite games ever, so even if this isn't the most robust package and there are a lot of strings attached, it's still worth it to me because I genuinely like having a modern version of all 3 games. So with that being said, let's take a look at Super Mario 64. First of all, this is the Japan-only 1997 Shindo version. The full name is Super Mario 64 Shindo Pack Taiyo version. Shindo Pack meaning Rumble Pack. So it added Rumble support and a few other things, like a little Easter egg on the title screen if you press Z. So, other than that, a few bug fixes were included, such as removing the popular backwards long jump. So, in low percent runs of Super Mario 64, you can basically clip through certain doors by repeatedly long jumping backwards on certain staircases, like this. This does not work anymore, so if you wanted to pick up this game to speedrun like 16 star or 0 star, this version will not be good for that, because while there are ways to do low star count runs, it is much more complicated. I don't know if it's actually possible for an actual person to do, or if it's only possible through tool-assisted speedruns at the moment. It's also not a good version for speedruns because of how the game is timed. Super Mario 64 is timed from starting the game, like booting the console effectively. So, in this case, and this is kind of something that also applies to like Virtual Console as well, the long load time between basically choosing the game from the menu to it actually starting up is so long. You would probably lose like 20 to 30 seconds on a speedrun. So, I feel like if you were to speedrun, Virtual Console would not be a bad option, but still you'd lose time. Also, you have input lag to worry about. Overall, I feel like this version actually has really good input lag. I find it a little bit easier to do things like the Bowser throws for the final boss, compared to Virtual Console. So it's kind of a shame that it's the Shindo version, because even though it isn't ideal from the standpoint of starting up the game, in terms of input latency and other factors, I would have probably tried to speedrun this version. But yeah, it's definitely a good version though if you just want to play the game, sort of more as intended. There are still some glitches, like in the basement you can use the rabbit MIPS to clip through a door, the 30-star door, in order to skip a few stars. In this case, you can still do that. I tried it in the Shindo version and it worked perfectly fine. So yeah, if you want to play the game just like casually, it's a great version. I have very few issues with it. The improved textures aren't super great. It's very true to the original, so it doesn't look outstanding, but it is probably my go-to version of the original, even though I don't really have a ton of nostalgia for it. I do still think Super Mario 64 is worth experiencing, just as an important game in the history of the medium. I grew up with the DS version, so oddly enough I prefer it in a lot of ways, even though I will admit the original controls a lot better, and frankly, it feels really nice to be able to play this on Switch and not have to worry about hooking up the Wii U every time I want to play this game. So if you push minus, you get this little menu that shows controls, and you can also back out to the main menu and swap games. Alright, so next up we are going to dive into Super Mario Sunshine. So this is basically the regular version. There weren't any like director's cuts for this or any fixed versions of this, so this is just the original GameCube version, for better or worse. A lot of it is great. Super Mario Sunshine was my first 3D Mario, so I am used to how off it can be at times. But there are some interesting things about this. First of all, the GameCube had analog triggers, so they have remapped it, so instead of Z being the map, L is the map. And weirdly enough, the map screen kind of lags a little bit. It's not terrible, but it is noticeable. So with Z effectively being freed up, ZR is run and use FLUDD, R is stand still and use FLUDD. And you can still zoom in. It's been moved to the right stick, clicking it in instead of the Y button, because the Y button is now dive, B is jump, also A is jump, and X is still switch nozzles. So maybe it's because I'm just so used to Sunshine, but this was really easy to jump into. Like, I didn't really mind the control changes. I tend to just use the running variant of FLUDD anyway, so I didn't really mind having separate buttons for it. And you can still zoom in if you need precision. No bugs have been fixed, so things like gelato skip are still possible. There is a new glitch where the scrubbing Serena Beach timer will just stop. I had this happen when trying to get blue coins. I was just kind of going about my business getting the blue coins, and then suddenly the timer stopped, and it gave me the shine sprite, even though I did not clean up nearly enough goop to get the shine sprite. So there was a weird bug there. There is occasional slowdown. Both 64 and Sunshine, by the way, are still at 30 FPS, not 60. Which is kind of a shame, but I get why, because Sunshine, as an example, definitely drops at times. Specifically, I find this market area can kind of lag a little bit. It's not too bad. But yeah, it's still Sunshine, so if you don't like Sunshine, this version will probably not do anything to change your mind. But as someone who really likes this game, despite its very glitchy and slightly unpolished state, it's really nice being able to play this game in widescreen and on a modern platform without having to try to set up a GameCube every time. I hope, because this is basically being emulated, that they will eventually bring over 64 and GameCube games to the Switch. I would not mind having like a virtual console for GameCube or N64 in the future. But yeah, this is just still Super Mario Sunshine, for better or worse. I recommend trying it, even though it's not necessarily the best Mario, just because it is probably the rarest game on this set, and is one of my favorite games. I know it's because I grew up with the game. I feel like if I played it now, I would actually kind of dislike a lot of it, because of how frustrating it can be. But basically like being able to do certain shine sprites like the river in one try, I feel like says more about me than it says about the game not being slightly finicky at times, if that makes sense. And some like the Watermelon Festival, no amount of practice will make that easier. But yeah, it's really fun. I did not mind getting blue coins, I did use a guide for it. Yeah, if you have not played Sunshine, it's, I think, so worth experiencing. Just, it is very different than the other two games, and also they did invert the camera, by the way, so that took a little bit of getting used to, because the original game was inverted, and this game uninverted it. There's no option to invert the camera, which is kind of a shame for those who prefer it that way. I like uninverted, so I actually got used to the new layout pretty easily, especially because I just finished work on the Odyssey review. So that game has an uninverted camera, so it made jumping into this collection in some ways a little bit easier, even though I did have to fight muscle memory on some of it. So, also with Sunshine, I am planning to revisit that game as part of a Let's Play, so expect that sometime in 2021. But yeah, I definitely want to redo that Let's Play, because that was a really old playthrough. So yeah, I look forward to that, sometime in the future. But yeah, I find that the collection is worth it for Sunshine alone because of just how much I like playing it and how inconvenient playing the GameCube version is. So yeah, for me, Sunshine was enough to justify it. But with that being said, let's go over to the last game in the collection. So Super Mario Galaxy is a bit odd. It used the Wii Remote and nunchucks, so automatically you should know that something had to be dramatically altered to make everything work. A title screen Easter egg was actually removed. In the original, you could hold A or B to light up the color of the logo. Because it's just press A instead of press A and B, you can't get the other color for the logo, sadly. So yeah, that little Easter egg was lost. To use the pointer, you have to press R to center the cursor, and then you just use the gyro of whatever controller you're using to move the cursor. You can press R at any time to recenter it, which is great. In handheld mode, you cannot use the pointer like this, you have to use the touchscreen. Why not both? I find it so weird that they restrict you like that. Where it's like, okay, if you're in handheld, you can only use the touchscreen. If you're in docked mode, you can only use the pointer. In handheld, why can't you use both? It's so weird to me. The right stick is used for camera. Overall, it's still Galaxy. From what I understand, the performance is a little bit shaky. This is 60, by the way, 60 FPS. So it does feel a bit smoother than Sunshine and 64, but all the versions have slight frame rate issues to varying degrees. I didn't notice it in 60 FPS because the drops are so minor, like I've heard it drops like 55 FPS, so Galaxy still feels really smooth even when there are moments of slight slowdown. It looks really pretty, a lot of the rough edges were kind of smoothed out. So yeah, it's pretty good. I find that I got used to the pointer system way faster than I expected to. It definitely sounded slightly intimidating at first, but I got used to it pretty quickly. Even on a Pro Controller, which is what I'm using now, it's not that bad. I'm not sure how this would fare in handheld mode, because using the touchscreen sounds a little bit intrusive, and that is a big reason why people think Yoshi is actually the big reason why Galaxy 2 is not included, because using the touchscreen for Yoshi moves instead of the pointer in handheld would make it very difficult. I hope eventually Galaxy 2 can be released, if they can retool how Yoshi works. Because, yeah, trying to platform and use the touchscreen at the same time in handheld would definitely not be the easiest thing in the world. But as an example, the motion controls are still present. You can either shake the controller or press X or Y to do the spin attack. Mini games still use motion controls, so the rolling ball levels and manta ray levels still use tilt controls. But I did both. No, I did all 4 of those stages first try. Again, I don't know if that's the case. It's saying more about me or the game. I think that says more about me. Because I'm just so used to those. Those are not easy levels, by the way, but I've played them so much that I feel like I can get through them pretty unscathed. The bubble level in the Green Star Galaxies did take me 2 tries, but it wasn't because of the pointer being awkward, it was just because I made a really bad mistake. So yeah. I didn't really have a problem with Galaxy, even though I thought I would, because of just, you know, the Pro Controller being a very different setup than a Wii Remote setup. So yeah, all 3 games play relatively well. There was a bit of a learning curve, having to kind of unlearn the controls of those versions and relearn the Switch controls. Like, I do mess up the buttons occasionally for Galaxy and 64. I want to press B to interact, and like A to jump, but both are jump, and then Y and X are interact. So that kind of threw me off at first. But outside of that, I don't really have that many objections to how this game plays. Galaxy does have a bit of clunkiness, specifically when trying to change change gravity. Galaxy has a problem with sometimes Mario just kind of spinning in circles, and then side flips being a little bit hard to pull off at times, especially with a drifting Joy-Con, I discovered. So yeah, I still would recommend this collection if you like these games or if you want to try them out for the first time. If you're only really interested in 1 or 2 games, it's a bit of a hard sell, I would say, because these are very much just like ports. Galaxy is a hybrid port, and no, it's like a hybrid emulation is what I mean. 64 and Sunshine just emulated straight up. Galaxy has some porting elements, if I'm not mistaken, involving some things on the GPU side having to be reworked, so it's not like just a direct emulation, so it's a little bit different. But I hope this means other Wii and GameCube games can be ported over in the future. But yeah, as a collection, I do wish they had done more with it. Definitely some things haven't aged well, and more bonus material like previous collections. Like, even the Kirby collection is being cited as having a ridiculous amount of bonus material for a Kirby game. When Kirby has a better anniversary box set than Mario, it's kind of odd, actually. But yeah, if you have not played these games before, this is a great chance to. Again, the collection is sadly only available until March. I hope they change their minds or announce that they'll be released individually later. But for now, if you do want to play these games, I would recommend trying to get around to them sooner rather than later. But with that being said, I do recommend this cautiously. And that's mostly because I just really like all 3 games. I mean, I did 100% them all except Galaxy already, so I think that speaks volumes to how much this collection was worth it to me. But with that being said, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next month for a new discussion.